and come. And we're live. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am Ubisoft concept artist Vin Hill, and I am joined as ever by the indie developer Mr. Christopher Jarvis.
Hello.
Hello. So how's it going, Chris? It's been a week.
It's been a week. I've been busy. I haven't really read much news. I've just been caught up through Twitter. So apologies if I'm not as knowledgeable as usual this week. So I'll have to leave it to yourself. How have you been?
Yeah, not too bad. I've been working on my little game yesterday. Like I had a full day of it. I post up a new little video, so you can go and check that out if you're interested. At Hillfort Games on Twitter. My little gun animation. Like I'm kind of happy that I finally got that in because I made the animation weeks ago and I still hadn't gotten it in. But yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's nice that things are progressing now. So I'm excited for the next steps anyway.
Yeah, I saw a little sneak peek beforehand, didn't I, in the round table as well. So you can check those out with the indie dev round table that we do as well on this channel. If you're interested in indie game development, I'm making my little game Focus Find at the moment.
How's that going?
Getting ready. It's going well. I'm getting the visuals all in order, and I've got to a place where I'm going to be starting to look for investment. So I'm going to be setting up a Patreon page, setting up a Steam page to allow for wish lists and approach funders. So yeah, it's a big step, big milestone. So I'm kind of self-crunching, which is bad, but unfortunately it's necessary because the amount of productivity I've done over the last few days has been great. I'm really pleased with the progress, but it means I've had to be, strict and like whipping myself. It's not a pretty sight then.
Right. It's just nothing new then, really. No, I mean,
but you've got a new mic, haven't you? So
I've got a new pretty mic. Visual viewers can see. It's just a new mic because the last one was like way too echoey and bouncy, and it's like this room that I'm in is not great for like audio stuff. So like I had to get a new dynamic mic, so it can actually just pick up sound from directly around me rather than like the whole room, because it was just the reverb on the last one was. Most people wouldn't have noticed. Most people don't care. But it was like that Blue Yeti, which I had, like served me well. I had it for 7 years. It was time to move on, as it were. But only because of this room. That's it.
Yeah, when you moved house, you could tell the difference and the change. And have you got bare concrete there as well in the wall?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the ceiling as well is actually concrete. Like it's one of those, because it's quite a new building. It's got like exposed concrete for the top. And it just bounces audio around like crazy. I could get like the foam boards and stuff, which absorb stuff, but like I would need to pad like a good few of the surfaces, and it doesn't help anyway because I've got 3 monitors in front of me. That reverbs like a lot of stuff as well. So it was cheaper and easier and quicker just to buy a new mic, which was a dynamic mic, which isn't a condenser mic, so it only picks up like things around me. No one cares, Vin. Talk about video games. That's why we're here. All right, I heard you. Anyway. Moving on. It's. I'm glad that I got it. That's for sure. And hopefully the audio quality of the podcast is a little bit better as well. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, let us know, viewers and listeners. Put a comment if you can tell the difference, or if you don't care. We'd like to hear both views. Just
a bunch of comments. People saying, "Yeah, don't care, Vin. Shut up. Talk about video games. We're here for the PlayStation." It's fair enough. That's fair enough. So today we're actually going to be going over a few different stories. As you can see by the thumbnail, the big one is about E3 and the sort of what's happening with that and the demise around it. And also we're going to be talking about PlayStation's new subscription service, which people are talking about, and people have already formed some opinions. So we're gonna give ours on it as well. But I've also got some words to say about Elden Ring as well. Like I've been playing the crap out of that game, so like it's probably high time that we mention what we've been playing. I think we skipped over the last few episodes, so yeah, now is the moment for that.
Yeah. Would you want to do that first, or do you want to do E3 first?
I don't mind, Chris. What do you want to talk about first?
We'll do E3. We'll do E3.
Okay. That's what.
So what's the big news with E3 then? I've heard that it's going ahead as planned.
Exactly, right? And it's just everyone's really excited about it, and it's going to be a good show. And no, it's dead. Unfortunately, it's just completely been killed. Yeah, so obviously with the combination of everything that's happened over the last few years with the global pandemic, and then we've had obviously all the shifts for like more digital content and things like that, and it's just everything is sort of shifting towards this old digital sort of future. And it took the ESA to sort of catch up with this, like the Entertainment Association, the people actually run the Entertainment Software Association. That's what the ESA stands for. Sorry, totally forgot that. But yeah, they've sort of been a bit slow to catch up, and now that they've sort of had a kick up the butt because of Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, and they've sort of realized, like, okay, there are better options out there, and we need to sort of readjust. Last year, they tried to go on ahead with just a digital event, which wasn't too bad. It just turned into basically the conferences, and that was it. There was no the press conferences, not the actual the show floor or anything. They didn't really do anything to mitigate that, and I think they've sort of hit the end of their rope with that stuff as well. So now, they've sort of pulled out completely.
I was going to say, and Sony were already pulled out, so they, arguably like a big chunk, bigger than a third of the video game industry.
I would argue, yeah. Most people tune in for the Sony stuff, so
yeah, and they weren't there. They did their own thing, and so that's kind of a big blow as well. That's another sort of nail in the coffin, Absolutely. As it were. So yeah, it's understandable that this is where we are now, and I think is Keighley making money with his summer showcase? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, because Jeff Keighley's really good at selling video games, and that's. I mean, we spoke about this in the pre-show, but the main reason why I have so many problems with the Game Awards is because that's all Keighley does. Like, he's basically a really good shill for publishers. Like, he can sell stuff, which is great. Like, in terms of for E3, that's what it's for. So, the fact that he can do that well at E3 is great, and that's absolutely where he shines. So, the fact that the Summer Games Fest is sort of shuffling into the main, the main real estate of E3 is, it's probably a good thing because Keighley knows what he's doing within that space. It's just, it feels weird because obviously, like, growing up around the games industry and just constantly seeing E3, like, since the 90s, basically, this is the first time that E3's really been killed off completely. In every capacity and like you were mentioning before, like PlayStation had already pulled out of it. EA had already pulled out. They were doing their own thing, but there was definitely some people that were still dedicated to that cause. So the big third parties, Microsoft were a big advocate for E3, but
it's a shame. There's some big gaming moments that happened at E3, and it seemed like that's the biggest. That was what people were invested in, like the publishers and the manufacturers alike. Like, people wanted there to be one place for people to come together and go, hey, this is what we can do to impress everyone, and this is what we can do to impress everyone. It's good for journalists because they could get a lot of years worth of work done in a weekend. It's good for consumers because they got turned on to things that they wouldn't have necessarily through regular marketing, but they would tune in for E3 and then go, oh, actually that's not really my kind of game, but that really looks up my street. So I think it's a shame that it seems like it's being killed off, and wouldn't be surprised if this is the end of E3 as we know it.
I mean, because like the ESA put out a statement, which it's right here. It says E3 will return in 2023 as a reinvigorated showcase that celebrates new and exciting video games in the industry's innovations. We previously announced that E3 would not hold an in-person event in 2022 due to the ongoing health risks surrounding COVID-19. Today we announced that there will also be no E3 showcase in 2022.
Well, did you hear what happened at GDC? Speaking of which, I can't believe we hadn't realised that we should be probably talking about GDC, but GDC's just happened, and there was a breakout of COVID, and some people were tested positive, didn't care, but don't know why you test yourself, then were still mingling with people, and so when a load of people came back from GDC, they were all infected with COVID, so there was like a sizable outbreak.
Super spreader event, literally.
Yeah, so that's a shame. So it's we're not out of the woods with this virus, it seems. And it is affecting game stuff, so we can talk about it because it's related to games. But yeah, we've had GDC, but half of it's all the digital stuff. We've hardly seen a fraction of it so far. Hopefully, the rest of the GDC talks that will be available on YouTube will be released soon. Hopefully, they just got a backlog that they need to get the audio and
they usually
sorted.
take a couple of months, I think. And when they come out, like that's when I normally sit down and just like plow through stuff because you get it all in bulk almost, and it's just video after video after video. I mean, you can tune in for the live events or whatever, right? But I just like I can never squeeze in like a week of videos that I want to watch. I never know what I want to watch until after the fact, anyway. But
Yeah,
that's
a goal. That's a goal.
Suck,
We should go to GDC one year. Like that'd be a brilliant goal if we could do that. Like, and for a reason, not just because like we're there to get some meetings on the go and stuff.
Yeah, have you ever on work or a job, or like if you want to talk to publishers or anything like that, or if you want to make good connections, GDC is the place to go. So like people that are in the industry or whatever, like a lot of developers go there, and it's very developer focused, which is great because we don't have enough of those events. We should have more GDCs, in my opinion. I think they should be like we should have a lot more emphasis on that, just to promote how we make games and what it takes to make games. And if people want to like get into it, then they should have more opportunities outside of GDC, which is I can't remember where GDC is actually based. I think
it was in the States somewhere. I'm not sure where. Was it Las Vegas?
I don't know. I should probably go and check, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Should probably go and check. So anyway, talking about E3.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
yeah, no, it's cool. The only thing is they've obviously said that they want to bring back the the event in some capacity in 2023. Yeah. What that looks like, I'm not too sure. And if Keighley's going to make enough of a dent this year that it sort of nixes all of that for good, like this could be like Keighley's sort of time to shine for that sort of stuff, which is, so the important thing is that we still have an event in the summer, and it's still going to be like this showcase of stuff that we're going to see, and it's going to be super cool. But it is definitely sad to see the whole concept of E3 dying down in some capacity and not seeing it anymore, which is it stings. That's absolutely sure. I mean, I just don't know how I really feel about it. We won't know how to feel about it until we see Summer Games Fest and see what Keighley does with it.
Yeah.
If he does a really great job, and it's just like, oh, okay, it's just E3 extended sort of thing. It's just a new version of E3 or whatever. Like, if that's the case, then that's going to be cool. But as long as it isn't if it doesn't get too like weird, like Spike TV-esque sort of stuff where like celebrities are just there to shill their wares and stuff like that. Like, as long as that doesn't happen, then it should be okay. But I'm going to give Keighley the benefit of the doubt for the Summer Games Fest stuff. But you can actually go and screw himself for the Game Awards, because
the Game Awards, because they weren't Game Awards. They weren't awards. Yeah, they're an advert dressed up as awards.
Yeah, it was a journalist pie. That was it. That's all that was. There was nothing. It was nothing to do with developers, which sucks, but it is what it is. But yeah, man. I mean, like, have you got any sort of have you got any takes on this? Like, in terms of like where you sort of see this going? Like, have you got any like concerns about how these sort of changes? Like, it always sucks when changes occur, but is it going to be like a big deal, do you think?
I mean, I'm in two minds about it. Like, in some ways, to revamp possibly like a stale format and reinvigorate things, keep things with a healthy competition is going to benefit consumers and potentially smaller developers as well. On the other side of things, E3 is special, and to see it not happen, and then even though they've said it's going to happen next year, like, there doesn't seem to be a good enough reason for it to be not going ahead this year. It seems like I've just got this feeling like it's because of money, like deals between companies have fallen through and they want to make some more money by talking and doing deals, and it seems like this new platform is a way that people can feel like they're getting in at the ground floor with the new way to make money or new way to sell games. And I suppose this could just be down to growing pains with the industry. It's getting bigger and bigger. Last couple of years, it's had a huge influx of money because of because of COVID and people staying at home. So now these people are all working flush. They've got energy. They've got more heads to think about, spend more money on marketing, and new avenues of revenue are probably what these marketing people are looking at. So it smells a bit of money making at the moment, and I don't know. Like for me as a consumer, E3 wasn't broke. Why, it was good. We should keep it. But it seems like things are moving in a different direction. That's my kind of take at the moment. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think you're right. It is literally just growing pains, and it's just about like there's a lot more eyes on stuff, and people can't physically attend to these conventions anymore. So it's a much more bigger focus on the consumer side, which is the digital version of it, so people can view it online if they're watching it on YouTube or whatever, because people can't go to these things. It's super expensive. It's actually really expensive for the developers themselves, like just getting booth space and things like that. It's just like we're talking millions for some of these spaces on the E3 floor, because that was literally the only way you could used to get eyes on that stuff. But now it's obviously, because it's shifted, people have sort of realized like, okay, the emphasis upon digital sort of consumption is very different, and consumers of this sort of stuff that are super fans are like just consuming it directly, like from the publishers and stuff. Now they're not even going to like the E3 page or anything like that. There's no E3 YouTube channel. Well, there is, but no one cares about it, right? People go to the Microsoft YouTube channel if they want to watch the Microsoft convention and stuff, and we do that ourselves. Like we did that when we were covering E3 last summer. We went directly to the publishers for all their videos, because it was like the cleanest version of it as well. Instead of like getting re-uploaded by another person, it's all grainy and crap. Like you're watching it directly. So people want it in the biggest quality, and they want it as soon as possible, and they've got access to that sort of stuff. So for that, like as long as that doesn't change, then it can't really be a bad thing. It's just, I think it's more to do with the idea of like, traditionally E3 is this, this institution of this thing that we do every year. Like it's the game as Christmas. And the fact that that's now transitioning out the way almost, maybe not permanently. I hope, I pray to God, like I really, really hope that they do come back next year and absolutely smash it. That'd be great to see the ESA sort of like react to it and do it properly with the backing of all the publishers and all that sort of stuff. And sort of listen to everyone, maybe even bring EA and PlayStation back into the fold in some capacity. That'd be great. But chances are, like, they're probably not. Like, what's actually going to happen is that we're going to splinter off even more. That's the sort of way that it's going, is that PlayStation are going to do their own event. Nintendo are just going to pull out of E3 and just stick to their Nintendo Directs. And when Microsoft does it, and when they abandon the E3 or the Summer Games Fest or whatever we're going to call it, once that's abandoned, I think gamers are going to start standing back and looking at this and be like, okay, what is the Summer Games Fest and who is it for? And it's like, okay, like if everyone's doing conferences in this month of June, then why do I need to look at the Summer Games Fest stuff? Like, what's going to be at that thing? And it's very much, like the more we splinter off, the more it devalues all of them. But so it's just a very weird time, and it's one of those things that we just have to sort of sit back and wait and see. My gut tells me that it's a bad thing that E3 is going away, but I don't know if that's just me being biased or not. It's just, it's tough, man. It's really tough.
There's good memories with E3. So I feel which is time will tell, and it just for me, I get a kick out of journalists like displaying their excitement and enthusiasm for products, and interviewing devs that talk about it that are a lot more reserved, and that dynamic is great for consumers. For me, when you have the companies that are like doing their polished marketing spiel, and or like if you're watching a Nintendo Direct and like it's listening it through a translator, and then you're getting the jokes a few seconds late, and the jokes aren't even that funny. There's something that gets lost when it's coming directly from publishers or the people themselves.
It feels a bit too polished, right? That's the only thing.
And I know that's the magic out of it.
It's a stupid thing to say, really, but it's just, I absolutely agree with you though. It's that sort of like, it's nice to see the real side of video games, and when people mess up on stage and stuff like that, it makes it real. It's like, okay, you can really see if this game is going to be good or not, just purely with like the way that people are playing it on stage, and like if it's a live demo or something, they get to see all that sort of stuff. And that magic is sort of lost. And it's like a similar thing happens with the, not to go off on too much of a tangent, but the Apple events. Like whenever you watch like any product announcements from Apple, like if you watch their events, now that they're all digital, and they've switched to like the non sort of theater, like Tim Cook being up there and trying to like flog his wares sort of thing. Like now that it's transitioned to this, this very, very well scripted, performed thing, it's sort of like it feels fake. It doesn't feel like they're actually excited about these things anymore. And E3 is probably going to go through the same. Well, not E3, but whatever we're calling it, like the summer event for video games. Now that that's going through that, it's like it does feel a lot more fake and prepackaged, and it feels a lot soulless almost. But
yeah,
does the average person care about that? Does the average person tuning in really care about that, or do they just want to see cool games? Like that's the thing. I question.
Maybe it's because the people with the money, they want to control the story as much as possible, and by doing so, they sanitize it to make it less appealing. Whereas if you have journalists going in cold that don't know what they're going to see,
right?
Their it's reality TV. It's not rocket science. Like when you get a fan reacting, that's entertaining for humans. Like we want to see humans having fun. When you see humans that are like, "This is my marketing job. I'm going to do the marketing presentation," it's not as fun. Even if they might be excited, like they've seen it a million times, it's not fresh for them, and they've polished it and rehearsed it. When you get that interaction and you get journalists asking devs questions as well that the devs aren't like prepared for to a certain extent, there's more magic there.
Yeah, there is something to be said to that, which is like I do miss the developer interviews. Like that's something that they stopped doing years ago, and that's something that I really, really miss. Like that, because I used to watch all that sort of stuff. That was one of my favorite things about if you saw a game trailer in one of the conferences that looked really cool, and you're like, wow, that looks great. You then go off and go and watch all the developer interviews, while they're in their booth or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, this is the game.
And they're just back. They're just back from having people clap, thousands of people clap at what they've done. So they're hyped as well. They're their adrenaline is running as well, and that totally comes across. And then they get to actually, for the first time in years, talk about something they've not been able to talk about.
Yeah.
It's and that's being just sanitized into here's the video, then you've the video of the developer sat at work with a film crew around them, so they're not in their natural environment.
Awkward.
Yeah. It's a shame. They have to figure something out. So if you're listening, people who are making these summer showcases and things, bring back a bit of razzle dazzle.
Yeah, I mean, they just need to talk to devs. That's the problem with a lot of these things. The publisher, I understand why the publishers are doing this, because they do want to sanitize it. They want to prepackage it, and so they can, because that thing is going to get shared over and over and over again. So I understand the need for it to be pristine, but a journalist's job for me is to get the story, is to get what is the truth about it and stuff. And I think a lot of journalists have sort of lost that capability, unfortunately, and it's not. Yeah, it's just a very weird sort of path we're going down, which is everything is prepackaged and we don't talk to anyone anymore, and it's nuts. Because
either that, or you've got to have a hot take, or you've got to hate on someone for something.
Sure.
So you've got to either be controversial or sanitized. There's no
middle ground anymore.
There's no middle ground. There's no, hey, this person's really excited about this game. Let's that's the story,
Yeah, it's tough, man. I genuinely believe all of this sort of adds to this whole the wider discussion which we constantly have, which is the dehumanizing of the video games industry, and how the developers are just sort of forgotten a lot of the time. And that's why we were going to mention the whole this is what a games developer looks like hashtag that was trending on Twitter. I think that sort of speaks to this, is that we're losing the soul of video games, and that people make these things. They don't just come out of a vacuum. It's not just publishers feeding money into a machine and then a game comes out. That's not what happens. People make these things, and just the dehumanizing of the games industry, this absolutely contributes to that. Unfortunately, it's just hopefully we get back on our feet and figure out a way where we can really show developers being excited about this sort of stuff, and them having discussions about it, because it was those videos which really made a difference for me. That made it personal, and that made it okay, cool, they're excited about this, and they're the developers. If they're excited about it, then I should probably try and understand why they're excited about it and stuff like that. But I understand they're a part of the market machine and all of that. But yeah, it's just I feel like old man shouting at cloud, oh, back in my day,
these
we
kids,
used to, right.
These marketing kids. coming along, ruining our games industry.
Yeah, but I mean, I fully understand that. This is probably like the way forward that we're going is probably going to get more eyes on, which is important. The fact that if more people are going to see it, then that's the only thing that really matters. So, it's tough. It's just one of those things that we're going to have to wait and see. Hopefully, Keeley does a good job, and I hope that the ESA really pull it out in 2023. So then, having competition between these two events is a great thing as well, because like this is it allows them not to like oversell anything, or like they don't like go nuts with how much they charge for the booth space and all that sort of stuff, and they're sort of thinking about this in new and inventive ways. The competition between the two events is going to be great because it allows them to really sort of shine about what they do great and what they do well. It'll be really interesting to see over the next sort of few years how it sort of pans out, especially on the back of the pandemic. Not that it's over yet, but it's definitely like we're on the outward trend, hopefully. So remains to be seen.
Yeah, interesting to see where it goes. I mean, it's an interesting time. It's changing. Like you wouldn't have thought a few years ago, before the pandemic and stuff, you never would have thought there'd be any reason why E3 wouldn't be happening, and now it's looking shaky. And but off the back of huge influx of cash into the industry again, didn't really see that coming either. So it's an exciting time, and hopefully it changes for the better.
Yeah,
it might just be that we just need to find that magic elsewhere, and it might just not be in E3. It might not be in these showcasey type summer events anymore. It might be somewhere else. Something else might pop up.
So much gets lost like with when you don't do a physical event, though. It's so much like just being at these events sometimes just make a huge difference. Like having booths and stuff like that. It's just, I remember like the Watch Dogs Legion when that was getting announced when we were working on that game, and that like won a load of E3 awards. And the way that they do E3 awards back then anyway was like each outlet would walk around with stickers from their outlet, and they would literally put stickers on the booths like above the door. And so like, okay, game of the show sort of thing, they would literally, so like at the end of the show we'd get like internal pictures from people that are actually at the E3 showing the whole team all like the awards that we've won, or like the runner-up awards and all that sort of stuff, like all the stickers from the outlets on the outside. And just like you just are like, yes, like they liked it, and that's great, and they really enjoyed what we showed. And just it's those sort of things. And like the booths as well, like the booths are like overly designed and they're ridiculous, but it's all fun, right? And missing that is like I'm really concerned that we're going to miss that sort of the soul of what it is to be at one of these gaming events. So hopefully that doesn't change.
And the Sony ponies and the Xbox can like come together, and they can actually see that the other side of their supposed warring families are like you're similar.
We are one industry. And like that's why these events are important, and that's why like when you're walking around at these events, like I was at Tokyo Game Show a few years ago, and when I was there, huge event. It's just everyone's there having a good time. It's just fun. Like you don't really consider any like of these rival sides on like that. It's just video games, and it's awesome. And like we sort of lose that when we desensitize that, because like, oh yeah, Team Xbox won because they put out a new video, or like, oh, the Nintendo Direct, they've got a new Zelda, so therefore they're quote unquote winning this year. And it's like this whole mindset just needs to go. And sort of like the physical events definitely fix that, but without the physical events we might I don't know. Again, I feel like old man shouting at a cloud. So
these kids, they wouldn't be fighting on Twitter if they came together in a booth. It's like, shut up, old man. What are booths? It's like, you don't know what booths are. Oh. Yeah.
Good times.
100%.
Oh well. Anyway, let's we should shift off. That's the demise of E3 for now. Anyway, hopefully, like it does come back in 2023. All the best to the ESA, and I hope that they really pull it out, because it's important. It's really important.
Yep.
So moving on, we've got some news from the old Sonys, as it were. Like they've been up to some stuff, Chris. We reported on we spoke about this last week, it was highly leaked that this service was coming multiple times through multiple sources. I mostly went off what Jeff Grubb was saying over at VentureBeat, and he was mentioning, he was just like, it's imminent. Like it's before the fiscal year is over in April. It's coming. And he was right. It came like 2 days later, and it just dropped on a PlayStation blog, which I called that 100%.
You did call that. Yeah.
Yeah, this thing it's exciting, it's fresh, it's new. Everyone's really enjoying like the options that they've got. Chris, what do you think about it, sir?
No, Vin, they're not. They're not.
Yeah. People are not very best
People aren't
pleased about this.
happy.
Yeah,
They're so upset that they're in tears.
didn't. Oh, Chris, that is terrible.
Yeah, Sony have released their new thing, which is
Tears.
oh god, what are they calling it? They've got weird names.
Right. Okay. Let's run through this. So basically, the whole story is like people that are sort of been living under a rock or whatever, and they're huge PlayStation fans. PlayStation Plus to relaunch as a 3-tiered service in June. Premium tier includes classic PS1, PS2, and PSP titles, which was something I didn't see coming, but there it is. So the 3 tiers are PlayStation Plus Essential is the first and the lowest, which is basically what PlayStation Plus is right now. Don't know why they call it PlayStation Plus Essential.
Essential.
Yeah, anyway.
It's just to make it more confusing, Vin, I think.
Yeah, so it's absolutely no different to PlayStation Plus as it stands right now. I think their features are all the exact same.
Yeah, so it's $9.99 monthly in the US, $8.99, $6.99 in the UK pounds, and then so $60 in the United States and £50 in the UK for a year.
It's I think it's exactly the same as it is right now, which is fine. And then the next tier up, it goes to PlayStation Plus Extra, which I don't know.
Plus extra,
plus
double.
extra.
It's like we're in 1984 and it's like double plus good and
yeah, Ultra Turbo X. You know, they should have called it that. So PlayStation Plus Extra benefits provides all the benefits from the Essential tier. That's a given. Adds a catalog of up to 400 most enjoyable PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games, including blockbuster hits from PlayStation Studios catalog and their third parties. Games in the Extra tier are downloadable for play, which is basically this is PlayStation Now. They're just repackaging it.
right.
So PlayStation Plus Extra is PlayStation Now. PlayStation Plus Essentials is I'm just going to go on a side tangent here. Like people have been complaining for like the past 2 years about Xbox is naming conventions and how terrible they are and how confusing they are. This is hilarious to me, just because like the hypocrisy of it is great. Anyway, because it's not called like PlayStation Plus.
Those people that came up with
Plus 2.
the PlayStation, the Xbox Series X and Series S, they then quit from Xbox and then they got employed by Sony and were like, oh yeah, we'll come up with your new streaming or tiered platform names. Yeah, Plus, hilarious. Essential, Extra,
Premium, Deluxe. Yeah, we'll get into that anyway. So that was the second tier. So PlayStation Plus Extra is basically PlayStation Now. That's it. Again, the price is the same. So in the United States, it's $100 a year or it's $15 a month. In the UK, it is £11 monthly or it is $83.99. Such a weird. Yeah. Such a
crazy. $83.99. Yeah.
Right? Just put it to 85, boys. You know, make an extra buck, make an extra pound. I don't understand. Like who came up with these? Anyway, yeah. So there's that, which is it's PlayStation Now. That's it. That's the only thing that's different. It actually removes some benefits though from PlayStation Now, which they currently have, which is on PlayStation Now there's a selection of like 10 PlayStation 2 games that you can play on PlayStation Now. They've removed those. They'll be going.
Brilliant.
And they've gone into the final tier, or the second to final tier. It depends how you look at it, but it is the final tier for the West anyway. So PlayStation Plus Extra is the second tier, which is PlayStation Now, and then there's PlayStation Plus Premium.
PlayStation Plus Premium.
PlayStation Pro.
3 Ps. PlayStation Plus Premium.
So there's PlayStation Plus Essential, PlayStation Plus Extra, and PlayStation Plus Premium. Like, these are terrible names, Sony. Like, hire someone, please, Christ. Or just call them PlayStation Plus and then, like, Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3.
Yeah, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3. People can get that. Yeah.
Or, like, put it into 2 tiers and not 3, and then just have PlayStation Plus and then PlayStation Plus Extra. Like, that's fine. But, like, the PlayStation Plus Extra and then... Anyway, I digress. I'm going to go back to it.
It's the old man in the cloud again.
Right, I'm going to start complaining about these naming conventions one day, I promise. So the PlayStation Plus Premium benefits include adds 340 additional games, including PlayStation 3, PlayStation 3 games through cloud streaming. So they're not native games. It can only be done through the PlayStation platform. Oh, that's another thing that they removed from the other Extra, I guess. So all the PlayStation 3 games are out of this as well. This PlayStation Extra is a terrible deal. Don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you would. Unless you're only
So-
interested in PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5.
Yeah, and then there's no games available anyway. Controversial, but there's no games. Well, PlayStation 4 games, yeah, fair enough. But like, there's no
Sure.
PlayStation 5 games, so you're paying a premium.
It's going to be a
price.
while before like the good PlayStation 5 games start chipping in, because they actually announced as well that they were going to be putting in a few bigger games as well. So starting off with the service, they're going to have Death Stranding, God of War 2018, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal are all going to be on the platform in the second tier. I'm going to refer to them as numbers from now because it's way easier. So in the second tier, they're gonna have some bangers. However, at that point, the most recent game on that list is Returnal, and that's going to be over a year old when it does get to that. So what this basically means is that PlayStation are not in any capacity doing any day and date stuff like Xbox are currently doing. So when a game comes out, like, do not expect it to be on their service platforms in whatever capacity for at least a year, I would say.
Yeah,
At least.
which kind of brings us to the whole point of these tier systems. It's like to play video games at a cheaper price, but it's more, the money is coming in regularly, and there's value in PlayStation getting money regularly, but they're counting and betting on people still buying the new releases and also at the same time subscribing.
Yeah. Which
to me sounds kind of like
money grabby.
It's the worst of both worlds.
Yeah, so like Jim Ryan commented on this directly, and it's something that I was going to bring up anyway, which was PlayStation's Jim Ryan says, our games could suffer if they went straight to PlayStation Plus, which, I don't know, it's up for debate if that's true. Like, they probably crunched the numbers, they probably know, and they don't have as deep pockets as Microsoft to be able to do a Game Pass sort of service anyway. So, yeah, it says, we feel like we are in a good virtuous cycle with our studios, explains PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan, where the investment delivers success, which enables yet more investment. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, just it's nonsense, right?
So basically, what he's saying is we need money, and Xbox is, it's just their scheme doesn't get much money, which is crazy because it totally does. What's going to happen is not as many people are going to sign up to this PlayStation thing, and then they're going to go, yeah, we've vindicated. See, not many people signed up, so it's good job we're charging premium for the new releases.
Yeah.
But it's like people would sign up more if they were going to put the new releases on.
Yeah, exactly, right? So it's sort of like, do you want the chicken or the egg? And he says in this article as well, the way our publishing model works right now, putting new games straight to PlayStation Plus platform doesn't make any sense, but things can change very quickly in this industry. So he's basically saying, things can change later, but at the same time, he sort of states in this article a few times, like, the way that the industry is right now, we're not really prepared to like go straight from that. So there's kind of like a little bit of hypocrisy, and like it goes against like what his own words are saying in the article as well. It's a fascinating read. Like, go and read it on gamesindustry.biz about Jim Ryan's sort of explanation why PlayStation aren't putting games on day and date, which is absolutely understandable. If they just want to make more money, they should just come out and say that. But like these weird sort of loops and pretzel twists that he put himself in, I think it's more. It does more damage to himself than anything else.
And especially because they're late to the party as it is. And the fact that he's saying that this industry changes quickly and it could change quickly, it's like, well, the fact that you're doing this now, whereas Xbox, have been cleaning up, and people, I know loads of people that have been sucked up by the Xbox machine because they were like, can't get hold of the PlayStation, really want to play games. I've heard that the Game Pass is really good value for money, so I'm going to jump in here. It's getting all the people that have got a bit of cash, some free time on their hands, and want to play something with value for money.
Yeah.
And PlayStation aren't getting those customers. Like, I know at least 3 people that have joined Xbox in the last couple of years. Yeah,
I don't really blame them either. I mean, because at the moment it sort of works in PlayStation's favor because they've had a good lineup of games. Like, they've had Horizon Forbidden West like do really well and stuff like this, and they've got God of War coming out at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. I understand like all of this, and like the way that the average PlayStation game that owns a PS5 is like, yeah, this is cool, this is fine. Like, we've got a load of games coming out. But then when Xbox start going toe to toe with that, when we start seeing games like Starfield come out, that, and we see those games coming day and date on Xbox Game Pass, people are going to be looking at that and be like, I really do like Bethesda games, and that is kind of free. If I just bought an Xbox console, and like how many more of those games, and that once that gets in someone's head, it's hard to get out, and especially like if they see the console on sale or something like that. Xbox are doing really well at the moment, and that's purely because they are front and end a lot of money into this. And Jim Ryan is right that Xbox aren't making as much money as they could, because like at some point they are going to have to raise the price of Game Pass at some point, especially when Call of Duty comes to it and things like this. But it's still like the value for money is still going to be just astronomical. Like even if it was double the price of what it is right now, you're still saving a bunch of money over the year if you're a hardcore gamer. So to them it sort of makes sense, but to PlayStation I fully understand that it doesn't.
I guess their numbers, all they need to go is what percentage of PlayStation 5 owners have bought Horizon and will buy God of War, and that is going to cover more than the premium, the tier 3 subscription in any case. They'll still be making more money, and they'll probably go, big chunk of people, regardless of what we do with our tiering system.
Yeah.
If we know a lot of people are going to buy Horizon and God of War, full price fairly shortly after it comes out, because there's the hype around those games.
Yeah, speaking of the PlayStation Plus Premium or Tier 3, I didn't finish going through the rest of this, but yeah, so PlayStation 3 games are coming through cloud streaming, which that's a conversation in and of itself. That sort of sucks that they couldn't figure out the emulation for that to get it onto the console and actually like downloadable and playable. They've also got a catalog of beloved classic games in both streaming and download options, which is good news. So PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, and PlayStation Portable generations are all getting native downloaded games, which is good news for the retroites such as myself. It also offers cloud streaming, access for original PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation Portable, PlayStation 4 games offered in the extra and premium tiers, blah, blah, blah. So all the previous stuff. On the... I think it's also coming to PC as well, so the streaming options, which is great. Being able to play PlayStation 1 games on your PC or on your phone, awesome. Yeah. Like that's great. The only other thing that was coming to this was the time-limited game trials, which was interesting. So some customers can try select games before they play, and the select games here is that word is carrying a lot. So basically, they'll have a catalog of games that you can quote unquote try, which means that you can play it for an hour or something, and then decide if you want to buy it or not. Which is
good.
Yeah, I mean it's good, but it sort of defeats the purpose of the streaming thing. Like if you're streaming something, or if you're subscribed to something and the prices here as well, for $120 a year or $18 a month, or in the UK it is $13.49. What a stupid number. Anyway, like just make it £14, man. So for £13.50 a month or £100 a year, you can try games instead of like just having access to a lot of them. Which versus
again, actually, when you say that now, like trying games is good, but like if you're paying for a service that you can have whatever games on tap, however much you want, play as much as you want. What's the point in trying before you buy? You've already bought it.
That's ultimately that bit right there, that pocket that we're talking about is what makes Game Pass so great. Is that like okay, I'm going to try this game for 5 minutes and see if I like it or not. And if you do like it, I'll just carry on playing, and you just play it. Like there's no like extra costs. There's no like weirdness around it. It's just like you just try it and then play it.
You don't get interrupted. The play doesn't get interrupted. You just suddenly find yourself 4 hours into a gaming session. You're like, oh, okay, I guess this is pretty cool. That was me with Jurassic Park.
Exactly. And we've I think every single person that's got an Xbox has got this story as well. Every single person.
And they're the sort of stories that they're telling people because it's a new gaming experience that we've not had before.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really strange that they've put that in there, because it's like, okay, that should just be a feature, and that shouldn't be in your top tier either. Like that should be like the first one,
the
like
base one.
If you want people to buy these games after they've quote unquote tried them, like you should be promoting that at the earliest tier that you can, which is in tier 1. Like I just don't understand why that's like locked behind the paywall of $120 a year, which is bananas to me. Like it's absolutely crazy. But yeah, I mean,
$20 a year.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. So like the only like weird thing about this is that yeah, we've got all these numbers. So on the second tier, which is the PlayStation Plus Extra, there's 400 games, and then in the premium tier is the addition of 340 games. So altogether, there's if I can do maths properly, 740 games altogether. It remains to be seen like how that 340 game split sort of ends up. Like, are we going to get 10 PlayStation 2 games and 20 PlayStation 1 games and the rest of PS3, or what?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know,
Or
and that's the
yeah,
problem.
or what's considered good games and what's considered like bargain basement, like
Yeah.
bargain bin games,
Yeah,
as it's just
if-
going to be all rubbish.
Yeah, if you're gonna have like Barbie Horse Racing 3 or something, I'm just sat there like, I really have no interest in this game whatsoever, and like that's been added to the pile to sort of like boost it out a little bit. Yeah, lots of questions around this premium tier. I think that's the main driver for like the discussion around this, which is like, what games are we getting? Like the fact that they didn't release a list in any capacity whatsoever, sort of, I think it
Yeah, and
hampered this
indie
announcement.
games where like they've not talked about indie games. Like where I want some money. I want to get on PlayStation if they'll let me back in the building. Um,
Don't Google Chris's name.
don't Google me, please. Like, but yeah, I would love to sell on PlayStation, despite our history. So there's no mention of that either. What we were speculating before is that Sony would come back, trying to tackle this head on, but it seems like they're doing same old Sony tactics of like, we can afford to be premium because we've got all the gamers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, like just how like the premium sort of scale, and there is a deluxe edition as well, like a deluxe tier, and I'll mention that real quick, which is for the countries that can't use PlayStation Now for streaming reasons or whatever, they've got basically a download only tier, which is a little bit lower in price. If you're in one of those countries, then you should actually go and check that out, because it's sort of like in between tier 2 and tier 3. It's somewhere in the middle, like price range and feature wise, so go and check that out. But yeah, like just around the idea of like remasters and remakes as well, that's another major problem which they've sort of got. So is Shadow of the Colossus going to be on the service for the PlayStation 2 version of Shadow of the Colossus when they've got a remake, on the PlayStation 4? Are they going to do that? Are we going to see other games like the Metal Gear Solid ports? Like, are they going to be on that? Are we going to see anything that's had full remakes? So like the original Demon Souls, are we going to see the PlayStation 3 version of Demon Souls when they've got a PlayStation 5 remake? Because if they start cutting that stuff up, there's going to be a lot of pushback, a lot, and I think there's a good sizable chunk, like the majority, like the best sort of PlayStation 2 games have had PlayStation 3 remasters. And if that's true, and they only release the remaster versions, which are cloud only because they're on PlayStation 3, then that's going to be like, okay, this sucks. Like that's going to be bad. And this is why they really should have released a game list, like what we know we're getting. Because if I'm going to sign up for something for $120 a year, I need to know like what is actually on there.
Yeah, it sounds like bad news because also, Metal Gear Solid can sell this. Like, if I was head of Sony, I'd be like, we need to get Metal Gear Solid remake in all the marketing material, like, because that's what's going to sell. It's going to be all the people that are like, yeah, I haven't played that in years. Actually, yes, I do want to play this, and I'll sign up to the subscription. I wouldn't have bought it otherwise, but since I'm signed up, yes, that's totally worth a download because those were awesome games.
Yeah, it's tough. Like, I really hope that the games list is great. Like, and I hope that we get like a load of good features and options and so like something else that wasn't mentioned, which like, because retro people, like people that are into retro games like PlayStation 1 and now PlayStation 2 is considered retro, I guess. Those people are sticklers for the details. Like if the emulation isn't good, they're gonna have a problem. If the emulation features like a fast forward or a quick save option isn't there, we're gonna have a problem. There's a load of things that they need to sort of address, and they should have like addressed like coming out the gate. Like, are we gonna get an upscale version of the game, or are we just gonna get the bog standard, like the square in the middle of the screen sort of thing? Is that gonna happen? And there's so many questions around how they're gonna handle the emulation side of this that it's a real concern. And gamers, this is why there's been most pushback. I really don't think it's anything that much to do with the day and date stuff or the fact that like we're not getting PlayStation 3 emulation native and stuff like that. It's mainly around the question, like it's the stuff that they didn't mention, which is the bigger problem.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Or the fact that the facts come out on a blog, it's all bad. And it's all smells like a trying to sweep the damage under the carpet. Like
the fact
yeah,
that
we're
it
going to
wasn't
take a hit on
blog is
this.
telling. Yeah, there was no trailer. They didn't hold this off until what would be now like Summer Games Fest or E3 time. They didn't hold all this back and be like, okay, we're going to show it properly because we're really excited about it. No, they sort of like, okay, we're going to let this get bad news on the PlayStation blog, and then it'll be brushed over by the time it actually comes out.
By the time God of War comes out, we'll be good again.
Right. And it's that's tough, man. And I understand why because at the end of the day, like the reason why they announced it when they did, and a lot of journalists aren't covering this fact, is that they announced it just before the end of the fiscal year, so their stock prices would get a little bit of a boost before like the tax season or whatever. And that's why it's like not coming out until June, which it's sort of nuts that they announced it so early, but that's the reason why. And obviously a lot more information is going to come out, and they're going to start like dripping out all the information for what games are coming. And if we are going to get some great classic games and they are going to do the emulation proud, I would love to see that, and I would be there day one to pay for that as well, because I'm a huge like old school PlayStation fan, like without a doubt. PlayStation 1 and 2 is my jam, like absolutely. So like if they do it right, I am their customer for their top tier. Also need to rename your tiers because they're awful. But yeah, it remains to be seen. But right now, with the way that they're sort of handling it, it's hard not to be pessimistic about it. But yeah, how about you? Like, are you like if you had a PlayStation 5, would you be interested in any of these outside of like the base sort of PlayStation Plus tier?
If the marketing was there, like at the minute, no. But that's maybe because of my social situation, not social situation, my money situation.
Just no one likes you, Chris. Like
no one likes me. So what's the point in playing games? No, I've had to cancel my Xbox. I've had to cut back on a lot of spending recently.
Right,
just
you're a busy boy.
Yeah, the government. I've got to heat my house. Yeah, right. I got to heat my house instead of play video games. So that's the choice. So I'm in a cutting down phase in my life at the moment. But with all that, if I had all the money in the world, I'd still be skeptical because I don't know what I'm getting for my money. And until they make that clear, I'm not going to be considering any purchases because I understand the price and I understand numbers.
Yeah.
But it's like knowing PlayStation, because their storefront is diabolical. Like me getting a non-game, not a non-Sony person coming in and trying to figure out what is the best. What's the Nathan Drake series, Uncharted series? Like trying to navigate what's the first one, what's the second one, what's the third one, what's the remaster, and in what order? Because I wanted to play in order.
Yeah, it
was terrible. Couldn't figure it out. Had to Google it. Still couldn't figure it out, even with Google telling me what's going on, because it's just all the marketing guff. It doesn't, like the remasters don't say the word remaster at any stage of the way.
Like the Nathan Drake collection or whatever, right?
Yeah. Like, and I actually was out of pocket because I could have just bought a special bundle and it would have saved me money. I bought them all in one go and separately. And again, that was because the storefront wasn't saying it looks like you want to buy this.
Yeah.
So I've not got much high hopes for the actual navigation and figuring out what's included. And I think they want to keep people unsure because I think they don't want to see just how shallow the actual reservoir of games is, or the quality of the games.
That is my concern.
That's what I think they're going to have a shoddy, like confusing storefronts. You won't be able to see what you're getting before you buy. So you won't be able to see what you actually want to buy, and so I don't think it's going to go down well. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like in a year or two, they do some sort of U-turn and it fails and they consolidate and they do something else. I don't think this is going to last.
Yeah, I think it will have some success because PlayStation fanboys will fanboy. That's the thing, and they'll buy into this day one, and they will make some cash off it. But I would hope that the reforms, like if there are reforms to come to fix any of these issues or to address like the shortcomings of it, because there absolutely will be, because it's a new service. This is what happens. I hope that they do it swiftly and they do it well, and I hope that they listen to feedback and they haven't completely become this sort of gated off company, which people are sort of accusing them of being recently, which is they're not really listening to gamers anymore. They're just very much like focused on, like crafting the AAA sort of action adventure games, which are amazing at. Don't get me wrong, like they're absolutely incredible at doing it, but it's become very soulless as well at the same time. So I hope that does sort of get rectified as they go along. But yeah, remains to be seen. Again, it's one of those stories, man. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Hopefully they pull it out and it's great, and they release a list and like, yeah, we're not gonna gate anything that's like a remaster or remake. You'll still be able to play it. It's fine, no worries. I hope that is the case. I hope they'll be a bit more consumer friendly on that side. But it's hard.
Because I've still got to play Last Guardian. That's still on my list.
Yeah, it's a great game. Yeah, I'm waiting for a Sony. If you are listening to our rant on this and you want some feedback, patch Last Guardian. Make a 60 FPS patch, please, because it desperately needs it and it deserves it. To be blunt, like that game was incredible, and you should give it a little bit more love. Hopefully. But last thing that we want to talk about was what we've been playing. Chris, have you been actually playing anything over the past couple of weeks? I know you've been busy. So
I've been super busy. Yeah, no, I have still been playing some more Horizon. I'm liking it more and playing it, which is great because I was a bit shaky at the beginning. Getting more into the campaign, and the side missions are just they're sublime.
Yeah,
they just got this beautiful way of combining, like a character can be introduced in seconds. The mission can be, the getting Aloy's reason to do the mission is well written. It adds backstory and lore at the same time, and then sometimes they're just like, go to this side of the map, go to this side of the map, go to this side of the map. And in other games that would be a chore, and I'd feel this is tedious. And then even at the end of the side mission, you don't get much. And if it was any other game, I'd feel like downhearted. But just the little cutscenes and the little interactions, it's just so much fun. And the main missions are really well as well, really well crafted. Like the Vegas stuff, it's all awesome. Loved all that.
Yeah, stuff. No, I think I just finished that mission before I start playing the game that we're going to be talking about in a minute. But yeah, I was just, the Vegas mission was pretty cool. Like at the end, like the ending to that was just like, all right, that was great. Like that's really cool. But then like you carry on, like you go back into the desert, and then Aloy's telling you absolutely everything again. It's like, okay, cool. Like just forgot about this. Right, yeah.
There are moments though where she doesn't. There are moments that she doesn't. Yeah. I went through a whole like mission with like, oh, where do I need to go? And Aloy was saying the right things at the right time, and it was just like, oh, thank God you can do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When it works great. But like, unfortunately, like it, for me anyway, like it's a very personal thing. It just misses a lot more than it hits on that anyway. But
yeah,
I'm glad that you're enjoying it more though, man. That's great.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it more. So yeah, really, I'm happy to see it all the way through. And the people that have been like 100%ing it, like platinum trophying it, they seem really happy with it. So yeah, I'm excited. But that's all I've been playing. I haven't had time to look at anything else or play anything else. Yeah.
Have you finished it, or you still shipping through it? Okay.
Yeah. I'm about 30% of the way through, 35% of the way through.
Okay. So are you planning to do absolutely everything? Is it going to be like a platinum run sort of game, or?
Unfortunately, yes. Again, because I don't really have much money to play anything else.
Right. That's fair.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm going to eke this one out as much as I can.
No, that's
so
good.
I'm going to be a bit boring on the podcast, unfortunately.
No, that's good.
Unless anyone wants to send me some keys again, like because I played Solitaire Conspiracy off the back of someone sent me over a key at Bithell Games. So
very cool.
Yeah. What have you been playing though, Vin? Elden Ring, I guess.
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring because I think I'm like 70% through Horizon, and I was getting so sick of Aloy, just telling me absolutely everything. It was just like I want a challenge. I want to do something. Like, and even when you put like this weird juxtaposition of Horizon Forbidden West, where you put the game on like super difficult mode, of like, and then you go through these really difficult battles. And like, man, that was tough. That was good. And then she goes back to like the quest mission. She's like, okay, now we go this way. And she treats her like a baby again. And it's like, oh crap. And just that weirdness. So I was like, you know what? I want to do Horizon like the justice that it deserves. Like I really, really enjoyed the first game. So I'm going to put this one to one side just for now. And I'm going to play Elden Ring just to get a bit of challenge and something a little bit different. So I started playing Elden Ring, and this game has consumed me. Like it's sort of taken over.
That's what everyone's saying. Everyone's saying, "How did I spend 100 hours on this game? What's happened?"
Yeah, I think I'm about 60 hours in, which is a lot for like 2 weeks.
What level are you?
I'm level 64, I think.
I've got this theory where I think they've designed it roughly every hour of the game you play, you level up once.
That's fair.
Because the people are saying like I've plowed 100 hours in and I'm 100, level 100,
Yeah.
and you've just confirmed that theory for me. So yeah, I think that works out to like an hour a level, which is kind of cool. Which sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, this game is a weird beast, in a good and a bad way. Like, it feels like a game that was made in 2022, but also made in 2013 at the same time. Like, there's some weird things about it which feel really archaic and old, which is a good thing, like, to the people that like these sort of games, I guess. But yeah, it's tough. Like, they're
talking about cheesing.
Yeah, there's basically, if anyone's like not played a Dark Souls game, then you need to go and listen to go and watch like a deep dive or something. I'll just try one out, I guess. Like, there's multiple places that you can try them out. Super difficult games, but this is the first one that's gone fully open world. It does make a huge difference, but there's things within that open world that make it more palatable for people that don't like Souls sort of format. The main thing which I've noticed, and the thing that just improves the game astronomically above all the other Souls games, is where they put the checkpoints. So in normal, like, traditional sort of Souls games, you have a fire, or like what in this they call points of grace, where you can respawn every time you die or whatever. Normally they're in locations which are quite far away from where you're trying to get back to. So if you die and you drop all your souls and you need to go back and reclaim them, in Souls traditionally, like the checkpoint is like really far away from where the boss is. So if you die from the boss, you have to like scrape through the bits which you've already done just to get back to the boss, which some people love that stuff. I despise it. I hate that.
I hate that.
It's the worst thing in the world to me, because like I just want to play the boss. Like, I understand that the boss is super difficult, but I want to be able to just try that over and over and over again. So like, put the checkpoint closer, and they've sort of rectified that for the most part in this. Like, a good 90% of the bosses have a point of grace or a checkpoint like just before them, which makes it so much better, because it allows you to be able to like go back and retry and like, oh, I almost had him that time, okay, and it keeps you in that flow of excitement of like trying stuff out and playing with sort of stuff. But yeah, it just like the open worldness like also just contributes like to the whole thing to make it feel a little bit more balanced as a Souls game, and I really don't see them ever going back to anything else other than this from now on, because it just works so damn well. Yeah, great game. Is it a 97? Absolutely not. Like, I don't agree with that whatsoever. Is it a 90? I'd probably agree with that.
Okay.
Main reason
there are some people that are like, there are people on Twitter that are saying this is my best, this is my favorite game bar none. Like, this is my most favorite game ever.
Right.
Which is kind of like interesting, because
that's a tall order.
Everyone seems to be agreeing on its pitfalls are pitfalls and not design. Because there's a lot of this discourse of like, this is by design, this is by design. It's like, it's hard by design, and it's like, and there are some things which is just not a fun user experience regardless of difficulty.
Yeah. And I think the main reason why it's not a 97 for me, and the reason why like it would never be like in that tier of like best games of all time, is just the technical issues in this game are just like rampant everywhere. Like,
I've heard that it's terrible on the console.
It's terrible on PC as well, apparently. It's just it constantly drops down between. It sits between 50 and like 30 FPS constantly, and and it'll be fine if it was like consistent. If you'd switch it over to
just 30 FPS.
Just 30 FPS. It probably like you'd get used to it and it'll be fine. It'll be solid. But if you turn that off, like it constantly dips, and like the frame rate slows down, and you slow down, and you can just feel it. I mean, I'm not a frame rate snob whatsoever. Like, I will play games at 30 FPS all day long, no problem. But in this one, it's just the hits that it constantly takes are awful, like, and you constantly feel them. And that, like, it sort of annoys me that the reviewers didn't take that into consideration. Like, the fact that we don't review games based on their technical prowess in any shape or form these days is sort of bananas to me. But at the same time, we do, because we look at Cyberpunk and we say that's a buggy game, therefore it gets a bad score. But with Elden Ring, it gets a free pass. It's very strange to me that has sort of occurred. But like, the technical issues in this game, just the frame rate, the camera is god awful, like, and I mean impressively bad in tight spaces. It's really quite horrendous. That's the part where it sort of feels like a 2013 game almost, because it's just like, these
things have been fixed.
This is a solved problem. Like, we should know how to fix this. And the fact that like we look at games like the Demon Souls remake on PlayStation 5, they fixed all of these problems for From Software. So like they've got like a direct sort of benchmark to go for, and they still
So they're not even learning from their own. Like, yeah, they're not even learning from the own people that are redoing their games. That's very strange. Yeah, that does suck. What I've seen is some GIFs that look amazing, like dragons just coming in and flying through and just looking amazing. But then I've also seen some things like on our stream here where it's like you've got like some witches that just randomly walking up a hill for no reason.
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's
that kind of
the open
world building stuff.
Yeah, it's fine. Like it sort of fits because like the game is very heavily focused on like Celtic mythology, like based off what I've seen anyway. There's a lot of references to the Celtic myths, and I'm constantly like coming across them. Like the average gamer wouldn't know them, but it's very heavily influenced on the Tuatha De Danann, and like if you know anything about the Celtic sort of pantheons, like it's heavily sort of influenced on that. So. Yeah, it's great for me because I'm picking up like these little bits of stories and I sort of understand it. But for the average gamer, they're just going to be playing this and be like, okay, like who the hell is this person? And why? Like the main idea behind the game is like there's these like I'm not even making this up, but there's like fingers everywhere that sort of like and like the puns in this game and the like the innuendos that you can get like whenever you see like praise the fingers and stuff like this. Like it's hilarious. Like it's really really funny. But like there's basically a Celtic myth of a king that he loses his arm. Because like in Celtic myth, like if you're disfigured in any way, then you can't be a ruler anymore. Like it's obviously like these stories are from 2,000 years ago. Give him a break. So he loses his arm, and then he's imperfect, so he can't be the leader of the Tuatha De Danann anymore. So then he has to leave. And like the idea behind the hand and the fingers and all that sort of stuff, like it all makes sense to me. Like being like the Celtic guy, I'm like, okay, I understand why this is a thing and why like the hands and the fingers are important because it makes sense. They're tarnished and all that sort of stuff. So it's like it's really like the Celtic sort of side of it is great. Like I love it. Like it's I'm absolutely like I'm like a pig in shit on this stuff. So it's great. Really enjoying the game for that. Cool. Yeah. The combat's great. Like it feels snappy. It feels good. You can make whatever character you want. I would argue this probably is the best Souls game.
Did you make your own character?
Yes, but it was absolutely useless. Don't spend any time doing it because so you'll sit there for 3/4 of an hour like I did with my wife. Like we sat there crafting this awesome like dark like gray skinned like cool character with like white eyes, and she looked really 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 cool. I was like, all right, dope. Like I'm really excited to get in this world with my character. Yeah. Like you start the game and she's just in like full armor, helmet, everything. Right, I've yet to have seen her again. And I accidentally turned off the helmet, like by accident, like about 40 hours in, and I was like, "Who's that?" Like I don't remember looking like that. It's like, oh yeah, I did make her like that. I totally forgot about it. And then I put the helmet back on. Because she wears a
helmet, yeah, you never see. They become the armor that you pick up and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the game is absolutely colossal. Like in terms of size, it's absolutely huge. So if you want a game, Chris, that like if you finish Horizon, you're like, okay, I've got an extra £50. Like I can buy.
It's got to last me the rest of the year. Yeah.
This will be the one to do it. However, it is very much still Souls. It is still very very difficult. But the open world nature, as you mentioned before, like it does allow you to cheese some things. If you run across an enemy that's really difficult and you know they are, you just stay on your horse and
just run away until you're powered enough to deal with it.
Yeah,
it's just the game. I'm used to games like telling me like it's got a skull and crossbones and I'll die in 3 seconds, and it's just like the game saying, yeah, don't come here yet, you're not powerful enough. Whereas there's none of that here.
No, there's not. But that is the beautiful thing about the open world nature of this game. That's another reason why it's so well balanced, is because if you do come across an area or a boss or something that is just way out of your league, instead of you sitting there and going at it over and over and over again, like I absolutely have, like I've fallen into those loops because I'm in the Souls mindset. Instead, you can just be like, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to go over there for a little bit. And then 20 hours later, you come back.
And you just hit them one hit and they're dead.
And
but you can't do that with any other Souls game, can you?
No. And that's the beauty of this one. It sort of gives you, it liberates you away from that, so you don't have to Like if you do get too challenged by something. But it's also a problem as well because like sometimes you'll miss whole areas. And like I did that yesterday. I came across like in the starting area, I found like a whole peninsula of places that I'd totally missed. Went back there and I was like, oh, look at this place. I had no idea it was there, which sounds like it would be a cool little rediscovery. However, I was so overpowered that I was just like,
It wasn't fun.
it wasn't fun. And like we've had this discussion before about Souls games where I genuinely believe that the the design of these games are very, very mediocre, and the difficulty sort of makes it, and not in a good way. It's just it covers up a lot of the mediocrity of Souls design. And when you get into those areas where you are overpowered, it exposes that absolutely, and it just
The whole difficulty thing. Well, I've heard that there's difficulty in the game. It's just disguised as what sort of setup you have. So if you're a mage, that's like easy mode,
right.
Which is fine, but it's like the game just doesn't tell you it's easy or hard mode, where they say, "Oh, I meleeed this boss" and stuff. So yeah,
it is a great game though. I can't fault it too much. It is probably the best Souls game. It's probably the most well balanced. It has a lot of technical issues, so if you are going to play it, maybe hold off a couple of months, see if From Software fix it. But yeah, definitely recommend it to people that are into that sort of stuff. It's probably the easiest and the hardest Souls game at the same time. That whole discussion of,
I like that line. That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the whole discussion of like, oh, is this one more difficult? Is it less difficult? It's both. Like it really depends where you're going against. Like they've made the bosses really, really hard. However, because the point of grace or the checkpoints are right next to where you go into the boss, it allows you to stay in that loop and just try stuff over and over again. So when you do get that boss, which just absolutely tears you, like a new one, you're just there like, okay, you've got to really dig deep down and think about like, okay, how the hell am I going to be able to maneuver around this and figure it out? Like I can either A, like go off and fight some other stuff and build up a little bit more, or B, I can stay here and really try and plow through it, and I'm able to do that because the point of grace is so like close. So there is, like, I really like that aspect of it, but it's it's definitely it still has its soulsy moments where you just like, screw this game, sort of thing. It's
throw the controller.
Yeah, it's a nice palate cleanser to Horizon Forbidden West. That's absolutely for sure.
You never get the character going, I think we need to go up here now.
Right. You actually get the opposite. You're just like, okay, like you find a what do you call it? It's just like there's crabs everywhere, right? Like whenever you go into the onto the beaches, and the crabs are massive. They're like 8 foot tall or whatever, and they're just like picking you up and throwing you and stuff like that. Throwing the mic, that's for sure. And like they drop crab eggs, and you're like, okay, what the hell do I do with the crab eggs? And they don't tell you. It's just there. It's like, oh, it's a crafting item. It's like, all right, dope. What the hell did you craft with it? Like, there was another thing.
Crab
like,
omelets.
Right? That would at least make sense. There's a load of items like that though. It's just like, oh, okay, like if you like, there's nightshade butterfly wings. I'm like, okay, what the hell do they do? And it's like you have to constantly Google stuff, and there's Wikipedia pages already set up. Like the fan base of this game is just incredible, by the way. Like big shout out to those guys and girls that sort of compile all this sort of stuff. So like we get the instruction manual in Wikipedia format pretty much. Because without them, I would just be lost, sort of thing. Like it's just absolutely impossible. So,
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, I think they could. I don't know if it exists. It might do, but so this sort of game, especially with all the hype and everything, and the fact that you don't need to, but it's very easy to like Google stuff. That this is a perfect place to sell some like user guides, like from like official user guides, like we used to get in the old days.
I think they
do have one.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
I mean that because it's a very Japanese style thing as well, because like we sort of lost like the strategy guide mentality for the games industry in the West, absolutely. But if you live in Japan, like strategy guides are still huge, like they're everywhere. Like you can get one for every single game, any new game that comes out. Like, and it's funny to see like official strategy guides for Western games come out, but they don't come out in the West and things like this. And you're like, man, I wish we still had those because they're so good, especially if it's a game that you really love. And it's just a nice piece of merchandise to even have. And this game is absolutely designed for you to have an iPad next to you with the Wikipedia page open, like as you go through, because every 5 minutes you will be saying out loud, like, what the hell does that do? Like, what is that for? Just that constant question of like, oh, should I do this? Should I do that? Yeah, you need a little bit of a helping hand, but Thankfully, the community's there to sort of do that for you. Whereas Horizon has the opposite problem, which is, you can't turn that off. So at least you can turn it on in some capacity for.
Yeah, you get to choose when you Google stuff. Yeah.
So you sort of make your own adventure with that.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
Yeah, great game. People should check it out, especially if the Souls fans. I mean, it's right up their alleys. Great open world game. Game's absolutely massive. It will last you a long, long time, but it's still difficult as hell. So if you do have problems with that, it's not going to alleviate it whatsoever. Like, don't go into this thinking, oh, I can just cheese everything, so like it'll be easier. Like, there still are combat arenas where they absolutely force you through sort of bottlenecks where you have to be good enough or like powerful enough or whatever. But they also do allow you to like venture off and go elsewhere to level up. So if you are struggling with it at any point, if anyone's listening to this and they're struggling with Elden Ring, just go to another area and rank up and go back. You'll be a lot better off for it. So
yeah. Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I guess we should
wrap this up.
Yeah, we should leave it there. Everyone, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate you checking us out. If you did join us live, I don't think we had any people. Oh crap!
We had some comments, but I don't know how many were real and how many were bots. So apologies if I assumed you're a bot.
Yeah, there were a couple.
Unless you're a bot.
Yeah, there was a couple of people talking about E3 being dead, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I think they're watching a bit further back in time though, because this is when we're talking about Elden Ring. But yeah.
Well, we appreciate you joining us in retrospect either way.
Thank you for coming. Yeah,
indeed. But yeah, if you did like the podcast, then please like, subscribe, comment, all that sort of good stuff. Let us know like your thoughts on the PlayStation subscription service. Like, I'm really curious about that. Have you been playing Elden Ring? What do you think about E3? Like, should it die gracefully and stuff like that? Like, we would actually really be interested to see what you guys say about this. But yeah, if you like, please hit the bell icon as well so you can be notified when we do go live. Which is usually every Sunday. However, PSA, we're not going to be online next Sunday because we've got dates. No, I'm joking. We don't really have.
I've got a stag do. I don't have a date.
Chris got
You've
a stag
got a date.
I've got a dinner with a couple of friends, but we'll see. It could be a date. No, it's not going to be a date. I'm going out
Double
for dinner.
date.
That's it. Anyway, but yeah, we're not going to be around next Sunday. We'll be back in a week on Sunday, as we usually are. We don't normally take Sundays off, so this is weird. It's going to be really strange. Not doing an episode this week.
As soon as we get 365 subscribers, we do one and we have a break.
Indeed.
Every 365 subscribers, we should take a break.
Once a year, we'll take our yearly break, as it were. But yeah, go us, I guess. But yeah, Chris, where can people find you, man?
So yes, I'm on Acrylic Pixel on my Twitter and TikTok, if you're so inclined.
Nobody's inclined for TikTok.
Nobody's inclined, no. And Acrylic Pixel on other things very soon, like Patreon and on Steam as well, is my studio name. Where can we find you, Vin?
Yep, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Hillfort Games. I post all of my indie dev stuff there. You can find some of my concept art if you're interested in that on ArtStation, which is Vin Hill Art. I do a load of stuff at Ubisoft. That's my day job, so you can go and check that stuff out. But other than that, you can find me right here on this channel. I'll be here every Sunday, apart from next Sunday. That's about it. But yeah, cool. Until next time, guys. Appreciate it a lot. Thank you very much.
Take it easy.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.